All right, so today we are going to talk about linear versus quadratic versus exponential. Remember, in a linear equation, it's always going to be y equals mx plus b. Our exponent is 1, the little 1 here, but we don't ever really talk about it. And remember, so when we have the table, we go to Desmos, put the table. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we have 7, 9, 11, 13. And we're going to see that these dots make a line. Oh, man. I messed this up. 13. And we're going to see these dots make a line. So we are going to do the y1 squiggly line mx1 plus b. Okay? So y1 squiggly line mx1 plus b. And I have m equals 2 and b equals 5. So my answer is y equals 2x plus 5. So now for the next one, our quadratic function is a U shape. It's a U shape, or it can also look like this pointing down, and the exponent is 2. If I go to Desmos and I put the table in, we have -3, we have -2, then we have -1. Oh, I forgot the -2. -1. 0, 1, 2, 3. Then I have 7, 2, -1, -2, -1, 2, 7. We see the graph it goes down, and then it gets to the bottom point, and then it goes back up. Okay, so we're going to use the y1 squiggly line ax squared little 1 plus bx little 1 plus c. The same one that we've been using. It's also on your star reference sheet if you want to check that out. There, so you can see it better. So we're going to type in y1 squiggly line ax little bitty 2 1 plus bx1 plus c. And it gives me my values right there. So we have a equals 1, b equals 0, and c equals -2. So I have y equals 1x squared plus 0x minus 2. Now, for the last one, we have exponential. That is that J-shaped curve. So, again, every time you have a table, exponent of x. Every time you have a table, Desmos, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, sorry, 2, 3, 4. Then we have 1, 3, 9, 27, 81. And we're going to use that y1 squiggly line a, b, x, little 1. So we have y1 squiggly line a, b, little x, little 1. And we get a is equal to 1, b is equal to 3. So I have y equals 1, parentheses 3, little x. And that's it. So then now for the next part, we have quadratic key features. We have, it says, which of the following best represents the x and y intercepts of the function shown on the grid? So if we're talking about x-intercepts, we're talking about the x-axis. So we have -4, -4, 0, and we have 8, 0. If we're talking about the y-intercepts, we're talking about the y-axis. And that touches at 8. It's kind of blurry, but 8. So that's going to be 0, 8. So then now let's go to the next one. It says, what is the vertex of the function? Remember that the word vertex is either our minimum point or our maximum point. So here we have a minimum And that's also known as our vertex. 1, comma, -4, our turning point. Turning point. And then our next question says, write an equation for the axis of symmetry. The important part here is equation and axis of symmetry. So symmetry is where we cut the graph in half. We got the vertex, we can draw the line that cuts it in half. And that's going to touch 1. So we know that's the x value of the vertex. And that's x equals 1 is my answer for axis of symmetry. And then we've done this before, but remember types of solutions. Right here, we do not touch the x-axis at all, so it's no solution, no touch. Right here, we touch the x-axis once, 1 touch, 1 solution. The next one, we touch 2 times, 2 touch, 2 solution. And then our last thing. So when we go over these, we have, if A is greater than 1, it's going to be a vertical stretch. And it's going to get narrow. So some examples are like 2, 3, 4. And if it is less than 1, like examples are 0.5, 0.75, it's going to be a vertical compress, and that's going to be wider. And then if it's a negative, if A is negative, so example would be like -2 or -0.5, it's going to flip over x-axis. Then if h is positive, if you have a positive h, it is going to go to the left. And if you have a negative h, it is going to go to the right. Then if you have a positive k, it's going to go up or above. And if you have a negative k, it's going to go down or below. So our first question says, given the graph below, which best describes the transformation that occurred to produce g of x? So right here, we started going up, but then we went down. So we know we reflected over the x-axis. So I know we reflected over x-axis. But then we also got skinnier. If you look at the shape of this one that we started with, and blue is skinnier. So I also know that we had a vertical stretch. So A says reflect across the x-axis. We did reflect across the x-axis, maybe. B, vertical stretch, maybe. And C, both A and B. Or D, none of the above. So I know A and B are both correct, so I'm going to pick C. Then next one. It says, which equation transformed the parent function by shifting 2 units left and 8 units down? Compresses it and reflects it over the x-axis. Okay. So let's do this one. Okay, so we have 2 units left, 2 units left. If I'm looking at 2 units left, I know it has to be h. So it has to be inside the parentheses. And I know it has to be a positive 2 to go to the left. So I know that we have positive 2, negative 2, positive 2, negative 2. I can tell you B and D are not correct because those would go to the right. Then we have 8 units down. So I know it has to be K on the outside, and it has to be -8. -8. They're both good. Then it says compressed and reflected across the x-axis. Compressed and reflected. Compressed and reflected. So compressed means a decimal, like 0 point something. We know that A right here, A and A. So we know that this one is a vertical stretch. And this one is a vertical compress. So your answer would be C. That's it. That's all I got. Oh, just kidding. I have 2 more, but I'm only going to do 1. The next one is a graph and match. It says which function is equivalent to f of x equals -4 parentheses x plus 7 squared minus 6. This is your straightforward question. Graph and match. So we have f of x equals -4 parentheses x plus 7 parentheses squared minus 6. We have this red graph. When I graph the answer choices, I want red to be covered up. So A, f of x equals -4x squared minus 56x minus 202. And see how blue covered up red perfectly? That's what I want. So your answer is A. That's it. Have a great day. Make sure to like and subscribe. Goodbye.